This is a movie that is in love with itself for all the wrong reasons.
Yep.
I thought I was watching a movie about Marilyn Monroe. But this is a movie that's just jacking off to itself. Like somebody invites you to their house and they just get in the mirror and just start just jacking off. You know,
It's trying to wag its fingers. Society, you exploited this woman.
Oh, don't even get me started.
Now I'm going to exploit her for 3 hours.
Don't even get me started on that. Don't you? I was going to say that, but don't you even get me started. Double Toasted live in Las Vegas is coming up very soon and tickets are selling fast. So get your tickets now by going to x1entertainment.com/double-toasted and join us for a night of comedy, music, games, and our after party. And we'll see you there soon. I'm not going to lie to you, Martin. You know, there was a little bit of envy. You know, just a little petty envy. Just me just being denied something.
I understand.
You know, just being told I can't have something. And that was for the movie Blonde. You know, only you highfalutin Austin Film Critics Association people could go see this. You know, losers like me, keep your ass at home. Need not apply. Yeah. And then they told me it was 3 hours long. And I was like, oh, thank God. I don't mind being rejected. I don't mind being outside. 3 hours long. And that's for when I thought it was a good movie.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying whether I think it's a bad movie or a good movie. I'm just saying at the time, I thought even with this being a good movie, I'm like, I don't feel like doing this.
Sure.
So I was praying that this would not be a bad film. And why would I think it would be a bad film, or you know, at least something that I would not be enjoying? Because this is Blonde, the Marilyn Monroe biopic with what's her name, Ana De Armas, who is playing Marilyn Monroe. She's been getting a lot of praise for playing Marilyn Monroe here, and also Netflix has. I would imagine they have high hopes for this because Oscar season is approaching. This is the time that especially Netflix starts putting out stuff that they think will give them a little clout. Mm-hmm. And looking at the trailer, I gotta tell you, it looks cool. You know, when I say looks, I mean I'm just looking at the cinematography, the style here. You know, the recreations that they've done. It looks amazing. Everybody's curious about what is going on with the NC-17 screening.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, how naked does Marilyn Monroe get? Oh, everybody loves Ana De Armas, man. You know, they've seen a lot of her. She showed a lot of skin in movies, and they can't wait to see more. Oh, and this time, because it's NC-17, it's going to be close to a porno. She's going to be doing all kind of nasty shit, Martin, in this. What's going on with that? You know, so this has got everybody, everyone from the cinema fans to you nasty sons of bitches out there, you perverts. So what is the movie really like, and what is the in-between for all of this? As I said, this is the Marilyn Monroe biopic, where it kind of, if you know anything about Marilyn Monroe, this goes into her downfall, pretty much the point where she committed suicide because she was so depressed about her life. What made her depressed? A lot of people still don't know the whole story, what happened to her. This movie even makes allegations about certain people that did certain things to her that, if are true, would be shocking to people at this moment. So you have a lot of interesting story plots here, are what people are presenting as possible history that added to the tragedy of Norma Jean, aka Marilyn Monroe. Let's go ahead and take a look at this trailer, which is a good looking trailer. Some people even complained about that because they said, well, damn, she's great except for that accent that comes through every now and then. But let's look at the trailer. We'll be back after we show it to you, and we'll have our review.
Miss Monroe, it's time.
Marilyn Monroe only exists on the screen.
So, Martin, if I had to spend 3 hours in a theater watching this, I'd be mad as hell. You better be glad you sent me this. Netflix at home. Shit, I almost burned my own house down watching this. If I had to watch this at the theater, you would never hear me stop complaining, man. You better be glad I wasn't there with you. You be telling me to shut up.
I told you when I got back.
You said I dodged a bullet. No, I dodged a cannonball.
I think it was like an hour and 90 minutes into it, sitting next to Chris Cox. We weren't saying anything to each other. And I got my napkin, and I wrote on it, she cries in every scene, and pass it on to him. He looked at me, and we both cracked up laughing. And then it became funny just to watch how in every scene she cries. Even a scene where she starts out happy, she busts into tears before the camera stops.
Sure does. This is a movie that is in love with itself for all the wrong reasons.
Yep.
I thought I was watching a movie about Marilyn Monroe. But this is a movie that's just jacking off to itself. Like somebody invites you to their house and they just get in the mirror and just start just jacking off. You know,
It's trying to wag its fingers. Society, you exploited this woman.
Oh, don't even get me started.
Now I'm gonna exploit her for 3 hours.
Don't even get me started on that. Don't you? I was gonna say that, but don't you even get me started. And when I say that this is a movie that is in love with itself for all the wrong reasons, let me explain by actually giving the movie a compliment. Because I love the filmmaking. Mm-hmm. I really do. It's not all black and white, as this movie is kind of showing you, mostly black and white. No, it actually plays with a lot of different styles. They do an excellent job. I mean, there are moments I looked at this and I felt like I was watching the original scenes from these movies, like that Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend scene.
Yeah, incredible.
Incredible.
The French are glad to die for love.
You know what? That's the original, and I couldn't even tell the difference for a while when I saw the scene in the movie. The reason why I love that they're doing this, I mean, just, you know, not only from an aesthetic point of view, just being, you know, visually cool, but I respect that they're not trying to do an average Hollywood biopic. Because I'm completely bored of those things when they start doing it the conventional way. I appreciate the artistic approach that they're doing here. The score is great in this because it's not a period piece score. You know, they've gone another route, and what they've done is it's almost like really creepy synth music that they do here. And I love who they got to do the music. If you know any of these guys right here, Nick Cave and Warren Ellis. Is that the same Warren Ellis that's the writer though?
I believe so, yeah.
He does music now?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. And Andrew Dominic, the director, he's done a couple of Nick Cave documentaries.
Okay, so no wonder he brought him in. Looking out for his boy. So the score is great here, man. And let me just also say about the style in this movie, in the score working together, what's great about it is that the artistic approach that they've taken, it's supposed to be disorienting, man. It's supposed to kind of be, you know, jarring and jumping around all over the place, because this is about a woman losing her mind. Not just depressed, you know, not just going through a hard time. She is losing her mind. She's drunk. She's on drugs sometimes. She's a prisoner to the Hollywood system. She's a prisoner to the character of Marilyn Monroe, which I did find fascinating. And there's so many scenes in this movie where that feeling that she has of being disoriented comes across in the cinematography, comes across in the stylistic approach that they took. There's a scene in here where it creeped me out, man. It was she was going through some guilt about a baby. I won't tell you what it is, but you'll see. But there's a scene where there's a phone that's ringing, and every time the phone rings, it's this shriek of an infant. And at the same time, the house is just engulfed in flames. And, you know, I thought, this is cool that they're not trying to deliver this feeling through dialogue, or they're trying to do it through acting. You know, they're also trying to do it through visuals, man, to make you feel like you are going crazy, which I kind of was after, you know, for close to 3 hours here. But I was okay with that, man. That I liked about it. And you sound like you feel the same way.
Yeah. No. It's so much of that. The art, how artistic the scenes were or could be, cinematography, the score, all that was wonderful.
Regardless of what I feel about the movie, they did make me feel sympathetic for the character, and I have to give the movie credit for that, because it's hard to do that. Not because she's an unsympathetic character, but because just a lot of times the movie doesn't do a good job at that, because there's a lot of distractions going on. But I did feel her pain, man. I wanted to give her some Diet Smoke, man, and calm her ass down.
Maybe the jar.
Give her the Delta 8 and the Delta 9, Martin. They got Delta 9 and, I got CBD. I'm going to tell you about the Delta 8. And the reason why I want to tell you about the Delta 8 just real quick is because I'm not very good with that MJ. I'm not very, I'm not good with that, man. Even the gummies, you heard about certain gummies that drove me. I had a nightmare episode in a restaurant. So I can't handle that. But the Delta 8, that's more my speed. The Delta 8s, they help me relax. They keep my mind clear. I'm not babbling. I'm not talking stupid. I'm not freaking out. I actually feel great. And then I go to bed when I want to go to bed. And it's very nice. The reason why is because with Delta 8, it's a slightly less potent THC. Like I said, Delta 9 is what everybody's familiar with. That's that strong stuff out there. Diet Smoke extracts the Delta 8 from hemp, which also makes it legal. So YouTube, do not mess with me about this because this is completely 100% legal. It ain't hurt nobody. We ain't dealing drugs to anybody. It's just gummies out there, and it helps a lot of people. And the THC that comes in the form of a delicious gummy that you have right here comes also in different flavors, watermelon and raspberry. That's the only thing. They taste so good. I do want to eat more. You better not. But they taste great.
I dare you.
You keep daring. You know what? I decline. I'm very good where I am. But they are delicious, man. And they're low in sugar. I'm working out right now, so I'm not eating a lot of sugar. So this is something that's also a big plus for me. And listen, if nothing else, I'm gonna make you feel guilty. It's your patriotic duty to get this because that's all American made right here.
Okay.
So as an American, you have to get this.
None of that Chinese THC.
And did I mention that it was legal? As I said, they got CBD for you over here, but when you need something a little bit more, something a little harder, something a little stronger than CBD, go try the Delta 8 THC gummies, man, by Diet Smoke. And I'm going to give you another reason. For all the reasons that I gave you, I'm going to give you another reason. And we've had testimonies from Toasties out there that tell us that they love it. I mean, we're fans.
Yeah, exactly.
No bullshit, man. We get this stuff all the time because it's that good. And we want you to try it out because, hey, if we like it, y'all going to love it. So here's what you do. Go to dietsmoke.com and use the code TOASTED for 20% off your order. I want to thank Diet Smoke for sponsoring this portion of the show and all of you out there, of course, for your support. So here's the problem with this movie, man, because I said I'm giving it a compliment while also criticizing it. As much as I love this style in the movie and where they're playing around artistically with it, the problem is that they're telling the movie. They're telling a story through that style. You know what I mean?
Well, I love the styles and different things it played with, but it was just too much in one movie. I was like, save some of this for something else and then have some other scenes that can make these special, but you're just doing this one after the next. That
thing that works for Marilyn Monroe, when I talk about her being disoriented in the movie and how this movie helps you capture that feeling, it does for her. But for the rest of the film, it's trying to tell the whole movie through that artistic lens, and it's not doing it with story. It's not doing it with character. So everything is hollow as hell in this movie, man. What you end up having here is just a series of perfume commercials just strung together, which has no flow. Just a bunch of short art films that somebody made in school or something with a huge budget.
Yeah,
because it really does. I mean, listen, y'all. I'm not trying to act like I'm, that art house movies or art house filmmakers or art students are snobs, but there's a lot of moments in this movie where it does capture that pretentious feeling of an art movie. They like people just saying dialogue but with no real emotion behind it, but saying it because they think it's deep and because they think that the image is going to speak for itself.
You think about somebody who's in film school and they're a prodigy, like they know it. So for their thesis, they're putting in every trick they know and showboating.
Yes.
In that one thing. And you're like, professionally, you wouldn't put it all in the same picture.
No, you would not, man. It becomes so disjointed that these characters mean nothing because there's no flow to it and they don't have time to build up these characters because they're so busy being pleased with all these images that they've made. It's like looking at a bunch of pretty pics somebody laid out of Marilyn Monroe and saying, hey, you know what happened here? And this is what happened in that picture right there. Oh, and this is what happened right there. And then sometimes they reenact it for you. It's like, man, can Can you just put on the movie for me, or can you just let me read a book or something? You know, because this is a weird feeling right here. It just doesn't feel like it's a coherent movie. And again, because it's all up his artistic ass. That's a hard way of putting that. That's just how I felt. Now I will say this again to give this movie a compliment. Ana De Armas is great. Ana De Armas is excellent in this movie.
She is.
Her accent only comes out when she's angry.
Well, that's the thing, because she's nailing Marilyn Monroe. She's got it down perfectly.
Yeah.
But when she has to yell, that accent hops on a speedboat from Cuba and comes crashing through the screen. But I thought it was adorable. I was like, you know what? It just reminds you that that's what she's been doing this whole time. She's been working at it. She's been working it.
Yeah.
And she does a great job. And when I think about them giving her a 10-minute ovation at the Venice Film Festival, I still say that's excessive. I don't know who y'all are performing for.
10 minutes is crazy.
10 minutes is crazy.
You clap for 10 minutes, your hand is bleeding.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I don't know what people do with that.
But she did deserve the ovation.
No, I don't care what I feel about this film. Best Actress nomination. She's amazing in this, man. She's awesome in this, and that's one of the other things that just kept me from from walking away from this movie, feeling just completely pissed off because she was holding it together, man. But the movie doesn't do her performance justice. Because again, they're trying to, they're so into the artistry of this that it's kind of it's almost competing with her. Mm. And actually, I'll tell you what, it does that so much that these scenes, because they are so hollow, it actually puts the work on her.
Yeah.
They had some things that I didn't know, and I don't know how true they are. I don't know how much I should take as truth right here.
But don't.
Okay. Because there's a lot of crazy shit that they're talking. I don't know. You can tell me how you find this out, because like one of the things that they're talking about is a polyamorous relationship between her and the sons of Edward G. Robinson and Charlie Chaplin. They're all in a sexual love triangle, and they're all in it together. That was interesting, but again, there's no depth to that story.
Yeah, it went on too long and didn't really amount to anything. And
there are things that happen. There are emotional ups and downs within this relationship. There's almost betrayals, and none of them make sense.
Yeah, right.
The way they keep coming back and forth. Mm-hmm. There's a story in there about a possible. This is what I'm talking about. Allegations. A possible abusive relationship with John F. Kennedy. And that story amounts to nothing but a cheap sex scene.
That was foul. Just the way that was done. I was like, this exploits everybody in this scene. Even the agents.
It was,
and it's not based on any facts.
But even if you want to bring something out that's not based on anything, at least try to present it in a way that's making an argument. You're making no argument. Yeah, right. It's just smut.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm going too far. It's okay. I'll pull back a little bit. It's a Skinamax.
Alert from updates available.
Oh hell, the hell with you. That sounds like Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah. You thought it was her ghost coming back to say something.
I'm sorry. I did get abused.
That really happened to me.
Yeah. But no, man, it's just the scene that is sold by sex. You're gonna make this allegation and just start. That was it. Mm-hmm. They didn't do anything, and it got worse. And I'll tell you why it got worse in a little bit. And also, you get all these great performances, man, by people who were cast very well. Some weren't. If you just go by looks, some were great. Arthur Miller, who was played by
Adrian Brody. Oh, I loved him.
Adrian Brody's great, and he looked just like Arthur Miller, man. Arthur Miller's he's a writer who
wrote Death of a Salesman.
Did he write The Crucible?
Yeah.
And a lot of people of course he's one of those guys where people were looking at Marilyn Monroe and like, what the with him? But she had a thing is another thing exploring here. She had a thing for father figures, which oh, good Lord. This movie is like, she had daddy issues. And that's all this movie was for 3 hours. God, daddy issues. It's like, I think I got it 2 hours ago. Did I do good, daddy? No, hell no. You creepy. Again. That's the way it was. I know. They didn't explore. That's the problem with this movie. They didn't explore. They just did. She's sitting up here calling, hey, daddy, are you happy with me, daddy? They didn't explore those daddy issues. They just sexualized her. Mm-hmm. He just made a cool daddy because it sounded sexual, because it's gonna give some guys a hard on. You know, at least that's the way it comes across.
Well,
maybe they meant for it to be
like
more.
in that early part of she's looking for her daddy, and so they just keep playing this over and over, and there's no depth to it.
It's just a cycle of the same thing. Adrian Brody looked just like Arthur Miller. Can't say the same thing for Bobby Cannavale, who was supposed to be Joe DiMaggio, but he was good.
Yeah.
There's actually a very intense scene with them, and that's the problem with this too. It's like I feel bad because there are some scenes that if there was some connective tissue between all these scenes and things flowed well, man, these stories would actually be pretty good. But they're, you know, again, they're just vignettes. But here's the thing that bugged me the most with this, man. You know, and Martin already brought this up. Here's the real thing that just completely bothered me with this. So the movie keeps saying, and Martin, you already said it, but the movie keeps saying, man, ain't it terrible how she was sexually exploited, abused, raped? And the movie sells itself on her sexuality. It pretty much just sells the movie on her titties.
On her and her abuse, yeah. But it's doing it itself.
Like I said, for all you nasty sons of bitches out there who think you're going to go see an NC-17 movie and see a whole lot of sex and whatnot, that's not happening here. And I'm not even trying to say that that's what should happen in this. You know, what they do is they do exploit, and I would even go as far as to say they exploit not only the character of Marilyn Monroe in this movie, and I say a character because we don't know what's true or what's not, but they not only exploit the image and character of Marilyn Monroe, but they exploit Ana De Armas too. Mm-hmm. You know, there's a lot of her topless for no reason. And not that I don't think women need to cover up. And y'all know I love to look at titties. So, you know, I'm not saying that should be a bad thing, but it just seems pointless. It seems like a movie where we're talking about sexual abuse and sexual exploitation, and you got this chick slinging her nipples out all over the film for no reason. It seems like you're trying to tantalize and somewhat excite the audience.
Yeah, and the thing is, Ana De Armas, she's never been shy about getting naked on film.
No.
Matter of fact, you find more films that she doesn't get naked in than the ones she does. But here, it happens so much to the point where it stops even being alluring. It's just like, girl, can you put some clothes on? I don't need to see you no more.
Yeah, it gets so insane. Because the artists, again, I'm talking about the artistry. It gets wild. It gets too stupid sometimes. There's a point where we even have, we kind of got a zombie Marilyn Monroe, just so you can see veins going in her cleavage, in her breasts, running around. And that, by the way, that scene goes nowhere. I know. But you know, like I said, the way they keep relishing the way she calls her lover's daddy. See, the problem with that, where they keep focusing on her daddy issues, because that's where the sex was. Even the way she says daddy is so sexual. The problem with that is that the movie also tries to explain to us just how smart, or they hint just how smart Marilyn Monroe was. She read the plays of some of the man that she was with, who were surprised because they thought she was just some dumb ditz. You know, she was well read. She was smarter than most people gave her credit for. She even had a little bit of business savvy. You know, if she wouldn't allow herself to be manipulated by so many people, a lot of times, you know, beyond her own will. But the movie doesn't talk about that too much. They barely touch on that. They spend more time showing her titties and talking about daddy than they do talking about how she felt so not just abused by the system, but insulted by it because she had to play dumb people all the time. Mm-hmm. They hardly ever explore that. No. They hardly ever scratch the surface on that. No. I also got to tell you that let me just say this, that whole thing, the reason why this movie is probably NC-17, the scene that gave it that, ain't even necessary. The scene is not even, first of all, it ain't hot. It's not even that graphic. The problem with it is that it goes on too long. And even the advisory board was like, this, you know, we're not giving this an NC-17 so because it's going to offend people. We don't want people to have to sit through all this right here. It's a fellatio scene where you don't even see anything. But the action is there and it just goes on too long. It did. And I say that because the point was taken. I got it. We didn't have to go all the way there. Yeah. You know, my sex drive was down after watching this movie, man.
I know.
I'm mad at you for making my penis soft.
I know. You got, oh, wow, just the sexiest chick of right now playing the sexiest chick from back then, and this is not even a little bit sexy. Yeah.
And as I was telling you, as much as I like the style, sometimes that is way too self-indulgent. Even cheesy, man. I told you about that scene where they had a zombie-looking Marilyn Monroe. It's just there for stylistic purposes. You'll notice when you see it's not really a zombie Marilyn Monroe, but she looks like a vampire or something. And that scene goes nowhere. It's just stuff in to make the movie longer. But the things that I really thought were just kind of childish and amateurish. There's a scene in this where somebody has an orgasm. And this really is just amateur. It's just way too on the nose. The person has an orgasm, and they cut to a television with a rocket exploding, and they couldn't stop with that. They had to keep going.
Oh, that was childish.
They had a rocket explode right at the height of orgasm, and they didn't even stop. They had to have spaceships crashing in the monuments.
Yeah.
They had to show like the world going wild. I mean, it was, come on, man. I was like,
This is near the end of the movie.
Yeah, like, and it's just
why are we doing this?
You thought you were so smart, you pulling some shit. This is why I know you don't know what you're doing. I'm very disappointed with this, man. I'm almost insulted because, as I said, this is a movie about the sexual exploitation of someone, and they did it. They exploited it to turn people on. It's almost some old bullshit. And the reason why it's not is because I feel like it's almost like I don't want. I feel like the cinematography and the art direction in this is so good that I want to give credit to those people that worked on that part. You know, so for me, it's a low rental. Ana De Armas, she did an amazing job at Marilyn Monroe. I thought she was brilliant. She and the cinematographer and the art department saved this movie from being some total bullshit.
Man, this is some old bullshit, but I got to give it up to her and the cinematographer and, Adrian Brody. You really like them, but God damn it.
You reluctantly want to do it.
Yes. Well, I could say some things that might push you over.
Oh, here we go. Tell me what you got, man. I'm open. I'm open-minded.
Well, first off, I would just say about this that as great as a job she does, because you're right, she carries this movie on her back in the whole thing. But it is a disservice that they make her a one-note person. I mean, not even a person, a one-note character. She cries in every scene. And there's just a point when it stops being, I'm sympathetic to like, okay, white woman tears again. And it's not her fault, but it's just the way this is set up. I don't know if Ana said like, I can cry and I want to do this, but it's like every scene, it made me think of the Passion of the Christ, where you're like, at first Jesus getting beat, you're like, oh damn. And then it just goes on. You're like, well shit, this is just getting comical now.
No, it was. I mean, it's because you say you want to be sympathetic, but it's not a real person anymore.
Yeah, exactly. That's the biggest disservice. It's like, I want to show you people the trauma she went through. Then make her a real person. Because you're like, you can see footage of Marilyn Monroe, or even when she's not acting, just candid moments where she could have fun. She could smile sometimes.
Yeah.
She could be a human being.
Yeah.
What we see on screen, that's not a human being. This, to me, was like a cracked mirror version of the Elvis movie we just had.
Yeah.
There we had an Australian director who, didn't have the same growing up with Elvis experience, watching him from a different point of view, and it's like, well, I know these things, I'm gonna make a spectacle of it. And his was more fun, carnival-like, almost like a musical. And here, okay, Andrew Dominic, he's from New Zealand, and looking at Marilyn Monroe like this icon that I kind of know about from somewhere else. And here's some things I know. I'm going to put this together and make this spectacle, but it's just in the worst way possible. All these things make it for a very unpleasant, angering experience. Yeah. To see the good things almost make you mad, because it's like, well, just what a waste this is. But one of the things why I say might even make it worse for you is that this movie kicks off with a big thing with her and her mom. Like mom, losing it, trying to kill her, going to the orphanage. And none of that's true. Her and her mom had a good relationship. Joe DiMaggio, they had strife, and there was some beating. Later, they came together. He was her biggest fan later on, a big supporter of her. Arthur Miller, They made it seem like, well, he just couldn't handle her. She went crazy. He divorced her because she kept cheating on him.
Oh yeah, that I knew.
Yeah, but it's like these are important details that are taken out of the story because it's all about, oh, but look at poor her and she was just traumatized and mental issues the whole time. It's like, y'all are doing everybody a disservice with this. This, I mean, listen, it's not like I go to movies for things to be accurate. I know better than that. Yeah. But there is a kind of thing where you're sort of slandering other people. That's kind of bullshit.
See, this is where, and I can't be a hypocrite because I said this is where was that movie with the security guard turned hero?
Oh, yeah. Richard Jewell.
Richard Jewell, which I did not like that movie because they lied and slandered people. And I said 2 or 3 days ago, it was last week we were talking about the Woman King. I said I draw the line when they start slandering people, and that's shit. Yeah, I might have to back it up. Yeah, this might be some bullshit, man.
Yeah, nah. And I was just like I said, I was just like you. I was like, oh, it's just some bullshit, but I have to acknowledge the things that go above being just good, that are great.
No, I was gonna stick with my low rental. I mean, I think even the director was probably just trying to make his own fantasy, you know. So, but yeah, it's a low rental. But yeah, man, it's. I mean, look, watch it just to watch it. You ain't looking at it for anything other than just the visuals and also the performances of the people who are doing well. But that material underneath, you ain't learning nothing. There's nothing enlightening. There's nothing deep. So yeah. Very reluctant. Low rental, but yeah, I did credit where credit is due for something like this. God damn it. Don't. Let me leave this alone, because I'm going to talk myself into giving me something else and just start disrespecting people.